viewers, thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is Nation Wants to Know and I'm Hina Gambhir. Viewers, democracies thrive on debate. Events ranging from July 18, when police took Sonam Wangchuk for medical attention, to the clashes and crackdown on July 20 and the end of protests on July 25 have triggered a billion swirling debates. And one dominating the headlines is Gen Z's grammar of political expression, and the second, the right to justice for policemen injured in the protest. So that is another headline that is now dominating. A certain section, in fact, has been expressing outrage over a large number of young women overtaking the men in freely using expletives against political authority. But the reaction to these hasn't come as a surprise. Among the videos from CJP-led protests that went viral included one of Ruchika Singh, who did make objectionable remarks at Jantar Mantar on 23rd of July. Now, a case has been registered against her. It was registered on 29th of July on the basis of a complaint filed by Smriti Singh, a resident of Ghaziabad, and police filed a Zero FIR under sections related to provoking breach of peace, public mischief and defamation. Now, viewers, the complainant says Ruchika's comments insulted the dignity of the Prime Minister's office and could spread disharmony and disturb public peace. The CJP, which led the anti-exam paper leak protest, came out in support of the young woman, claiming that the remarks could be wrong, but the use of criminal machinery to go against protesters is highly condemnable. Listen in.
देखिए, अगर किसी ने गाली दिया है प्रोटेस्ट में, वो कितना सही है नहीं है उसका आप एक तरीके से निंदा कर सकते हो, लेकिन ऐसे करके आप क्रिमिनल मशीनरी यूज करोगे, उनको पुलिस के थ्रू टारगेटिंग करोगे, हैरासमेंट करोगे, वो बिल्कुल सही बात नहीं है। इस देश में गाली देना कब से क्रिमिनल ऑफेंस बन चुका है? मतलब कि रोज चलते फिरते लोग यहाँ पे गाली देते। आपने बीजेपी एमपीज जो 50% लोकसभा में एमपीज बैठे हुए, उनके खिलाफ तो क्रिमिनल चार्जेस है एंड बहुत ही हीनस क्रिमिनल चार्जेस है, रेप, मर्डर, डेकॉइटी, ये सब चीजों का, तो उसमें तो आप कुछ नहीं कर रहे हो।
Viewers, I would like to lay down here that in India, use of profanity is not unusual. It's been largely a male bastion with sexist and even misogynist overtones. But at Jantar Mantar, a change happened. The Gen Z used public channels for the flow of private language. Obscenities came as an act of rebellion against the failures to address their fears. Viewers, the government had assured that the cases against protesters will be withdrawn. On Thursday, the Delhi government had said no legal action will be taken against those arrested in connection with protest, except those with a criminal history. But reports of follow-up police action against protesters are trickling in. Ruchika Singh faces a police case. Facing condemnation on social media, she deactivated her Instagram account. If held guilty by a court, she can face fine up to 3 years of imprisonment or both. In many cities, some groups have been targeting vocal and at times abusive protesters. Some protesters went on to attack the security personnel. Many are facing attacks on social media. It's virtually becoming a clash of outrages. Viewers, in our constitution, there is no specific guarantee of right to protest, but Articles 19(1)A and 19(1)B provide for freedom of speech and expression as well as the right to assemble peacefully. But this right is not absolute. An individual's freedom is subject to limitations listed in Articles 19(2) and 19(3), which cover aspects like sovereignty, public order and security, which in simple terms means protesters have rights, but only if the protests or how they are conducted do not hurt the citizens or do not hurt the rights of other citizens, public order or national sovereignty. The question is, did protesters like Ruchika Singh cross that line? It's interesting to note how the Prime Minister has chosen to ignore what was hurled at him. Instead of reacting to the abuses, he addressed the protesters with 3 unscripted, Insta-style videos speaking the Gen Z language. In the past, once he had quipped about the insults the opposition had hurled at him. Listen in.
अब कल मैं दिल्ली में था सुबह, फिर कर्नाटका में, फिर तमिलनाडु में, फिर रात को आंध्र में और अभी तेलंगाना में। तो लोग मुझे पूछते थकते नहीं हो? तो मैंने उनको समझाया, देखो भाई, मैं डेली 2 किलो, 2.5 किलो, 3 किलो गाली खाता हूं।
So let's ask tonight, democracy provides us right to free speech, but is insult and abuse included in this right? And joining me on this debate are my guests. We have Sanju Verma, BJP's national spokesperson, Advaita Kala, who is an author, Imran Ahmed Ali, lawyer and political analyst, Abha Singh, lawyer and activist, also live with us. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us here on Times Now. Advaita, let me begin this discussion with you. I mean, democracy provides all of us this right to free speech. But is insult and abuse included in this right?
I think there is the right to free speech with reasonable limitations. I think that is what the law says. And there are provisions in the law that can be used to target this kind of free speech, including the fact that a citizen, someone else, took offense to this language. So she's well within her rights to file a complaint against this. Whether you or I agree with her doing this, or whether you or I agree with this other woman using such vile language, is irrelevant. The Constitution, the law, permits for this kind of case to be filed. And unfortunately, for this young lady, I don't know what her background is, I don't know who she is, nothing of that sort, but for a moment to be on TV, to say the most outrageous thing, which has become so endemic in our culture now because of social media and viral memes. She's really stuck with a problem, which I think she'll have to see through its logical end and hope that the court takes a much more lenient view of the situation than the actual complainant has. So that's really where she's at this point. What I find far more troubling is the way this kind of language has been normalized in our society. You know, be it in political circles, be it what we see on OTTs or just around the block. It's all normal to abuse someone, to abuse the Prime Minister, to make vulgar references about him and his mother because you don't like him or you disagree with him. This is, I'm sorry to say, has been normalized. And more than this young lady, it has been normalized by people in public life. So she is just a symptom of a much deeper malaise that exists in our society.
Okay. You've raised some very important points, and I'll take those across to my other guests as well. We're also joined on the broadcast by Riya Ahir, who is a model and also the face of the protest in Mumbai specifically. Her iconic image went viral on social media. Her act was also talked about by a lot of people. Riya, I want to first understand from you, do you agree with the kind of language Ruchika has used in this particular video for which she's facing an FIR today? Is that what Gen Z stands for?
No. Abuse is abuse, no matter where it comes from, be it at a low level or a higher level, and it should be called out. Also, at the same time, to start with, I am a Gen Z myself, and I've given n number of interviews until now, which the love and support has led me to. And if you see that Ruchika stands for herself, I stand for myself. We as a generation, we shouldn't polarize. We're not a monolith. So have you seen if when I was in that place as well in front of the van, first I asked for very politely, I believe resolve to any conflict starts with a dialogue. So I spoke with the policeman very beautifully and very politely and asking him for a memo. He did not have a memo. Hence, whatever occurred after that happened, because there was no female cop in the van as well. And there were females in the police van. So I stood in front of it because that was illegal detention without showing power or force. So as a generation, we cannot, name everyone and paint everyone with the same brush. Till now, I have been very respectful, where also Mr. Ranganathan in your panel was, trying to force me in the corner with his loud voice. But that I still held my grounds very strong, and I politely corrected him to not interrupt me. So no, this is not a generational thing. Everyone has their opinions, and the way they put forward is their own and individual.
Okay, but because this is all related to CJP-led protests that started in the national capital that united the young people in this country, including you. Now, CJP has come out in support of this lady, Ruchika, 25-year-old, who's facing an FIR today because of the kind of filthy language she used. I mean, it's so disgusting that when we wanted to play a part of it by muting the irrelevant portions, we could not. It was so bad and disgusting. Despite that, CJP has come out in support of it and has in fact said that profanity cannot attract a criminal case. Do you agree with this?
Okay, so I can put forward my experience with this. If we are really calling out abuse, there are women from political parties putting up Facebook posts, calling me Supanka Chapri, selling my body parts for 149 rupees. So let's paint everyone, give the blindfolded justice to everyone. सबको एक तराजू में हमें नापना चाहिए जैसे हमें बताया गया है. So if we are really calling out abuse, the law is equal for everyone. Let's start there as well.
Okay. Sanju Verma, where do you stand on this? Because Prime Minister himself hasn't said anything at all. Prime Minister is trying more and more to be inclusive.
Hina, I will take off from what, the young lady, Ria Ahir said. And let me just point out, yes, there should be no discrimination when we are looking at applying free speech to different stakeholders in this society. If free speech comes with restrictions for Sanju Verma, it should also come with restrictions for Hina Gambhir, Advaita, Imran, Ria Ahir, so on and so forth. But I think it's very important to distinguish between anarchy and dissent. I have said this on your show a couple of days back as well. Rioting is not peaceful dissent. Vandalism is not peaceful dissent. Hurling abusers at the sitting Prime Minister of the country is not peaceful dissent. I have always said, let's distinguish between bona fide students and professional Andolan Jivis who hijacked a movement that started with the right intent, but somewhere down the line, it became, a protest that was all about political, nitpicking. Who in their right mind would say, संसद भवन जला दो, 370 को वापस लाओ, CAA को आग लगा दो, संविधान को आग लगा दो, मोदी मर गया हाय हाय, मोदी की 13वीं पर समोसे बांटेंगे, अमित शाह हाय हाय, मेरा लिंग मेरी मर्जी, मेरा जेंडर मेरी मर्जी. So what am I trying to suggest here? I'm saying that the same article 19(1)A, B, 19(1)A, 2, the same Article 19 of the Constitution, which free speech absolutists hurl at all and sundry. That same article also says one very important thing, which you mentioned at the start of the show. Free speech does not exist in a vacuum. Free speech is never absolute. And last but not the least, free speech is subject to reasonable restrictions of public order, morality, and health. And now let me address the elephant in the room. You asked me a direct question about Ruchika Singh. She's young, true, but is she an adult? Yes, she's 25 years old. She's not a minor who's less than 18 years old. As a 25-year-old adult, she has to be responsible for her own decisions and the abuses that she hurled at the Prime Minister, even dragging it, the Italian head of state, Giorgia Meloni, into that abusive rant of hers. I have absolutely no sympathy, no empathy, no compassion for her. Let the stringent law of the land apply to her under Section 352 of the BNS.
Should that be the case, Abha Singh? Should the law be tough on Gen Z members who hurled profanity, or maybe try and earn trust by not cracking down on them? What is your point of view?
When the protest was called off, at that time it was said that whatever FIRs are, they would be called off, with whatever had been registered at the time of protest. But I think the Gen Z did not anticipate that whatever subsequent to the protest would be filed, they would not be called off. So that is what the issue in this is, and I think they're feeling a little let down. But yes, coming to the point, obscenity is an offence as per BNS, and it calls for more than 3 years of imprisonment and fine. And definitely this kind of language nobody will tolerate for the Prime Minister of this country. You have a problem, you are protesting for the NEET students who committed suicide, that is fine. You are asking for resignation of the health minister, that is fine. But where do you get the authority to use such crass words for the Prime Minister, democratically elected Prime Minister of this country? Nobody is going to tolerate that. I don't know if you remember, I had got 13 FIRs done on all the people who were performing on the AIB roast. That case was done by me, and at that time also I said obscenity at a public place cannot be tolerated, and it does violate public order and morality. And Article 19, which you talked of, 19(1)(2) clearly says that freedom of speech is curtailed by public order and morality. Okay. So I think to that extent the FIR stands corrected. But yes, the Gen Z feels that that was a protest, and whatever at that protest should not be penalized.
Okay. Imran, Rahul Gandhi, leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, also reacted, and according to him, attempts are being made to silence the voice of Gen Z by filing FIRs, etc. Ria, I know you want to come in. Let me get a quick word from Imran.
I'll be the devil's advocate here, and if I don't be, it'll be entirely a one-sided debate. At a personal level, do I feel what she said was incorrect? Absolutely. Such language should not even be used against an enemy, let alone the Prime Minister of the country. However, my problem tonight is with double standards. On one side, a member of parliament, and here this young lady, whatever she said on national television, or she's given it to a YouTuber, whoever she said it to, she's not my elected member of parliament. A member of parliament by the name of Kangana Ranaut calls an entire generation puke-inducing. She calls them generation gutter. She body shames them. She calls them ugly. She says you got endless body counts. In fact, even a TV anchor, Preeti Chaudhary, and it's gone viral subsequently, from telling her things like kapde utarne ki azadi to calling her a feminazi. I mean, there are a number of things that she has said which I cannot even mention on television. My problem is now of this double standard. On one side, what she says, I say both are incorrect and both should be proceeded against. However, when you are careless enough to go on to a press conference and say that no FIRs shall be registered, and if those have been registered, they shall be taken back, you have to understand the implication of things. You give an entire generation, and rightly, wrongly, I'm not somebody who would have made that statement because you did not know the evidence that would come subsequently. But when you do make a statement like that, and coupled with the double standard that you have with your own member of parliament, who we as people have chosen and taken there, and you choose to remain silent, this is nothing but an example of double standards. I in no way am justifying what Ruchika said. What she said is deplorable. It is horrible. She should not have said it. But then please hold your member of parliament not even to an equal standard, to a higher standard.
Okay, and quick rebuttal, Sanju, and then I want to go across to Ria. Very quickly, please.
You know, we discussed this on your show 2 days back, and I clearly said that I don't endorse Kangana Ranaut calling Gen Z as Gen Gutter. Okay. I'm very clear. We need to differentiate between students and professional Andolan Jeevis. But I fail to understand, if you can outrage against Kangana, then why not outrage against Priyanka Vadra, who used the immunity that she gets on the floor of the parliament to use
Ria wants to come in now. Ria, and then I want to quickly go across to Advaita as well once.
Yes, ma'am. As I was saying, we have only debated about Ms. Kangana's comments. Is there anything been done about it? Calling an entire generation and the Hindu women communally, basically dividing them. Has anything been done? Debates, yes. But what about justice? Justice will only be served if you're a constitutional worker, or everyone deserves the right of equality in the front of the law. I am a 26-year-old. It's been 5 days since my complaint with cybercrime, ma'am. No FIR copy in my hand yet. So where is my justice?
But Ria, in this particular case, in Ruchika's case, in your opinion, what should be done? Do you think one should be lenient, or do you think action should be taken against her with the way FIR has now been filed? By the way, an FIR in this particular case has not been filed by police, but a person, an individual in this country.
I know. I was live with her online in the morning, and you know what happened? I gave my case about all the BNS sections that I would put forward for that political party worker who publicly is defaming me. And, about my modesty, she's outraging it. But who's there to support me, ma'am? All of them are there to support the higher ups. But who's there to support me?
Okay. Lastly, I want to go across to Advaita once very quickly. You spoke about how we are normalizing this kind of a language. Who's really doing it and what should be done in this case specifically so that we don't alienate Gen Z further?
Well, I think, I think what Gen Z has done through this protest has really awoken everybody up to a malaise, again, I repeat that word, in our education system, which is that of cheating and paper leaks. And this has happened through generations. I mean, I can go back as far back as the 90s when there were paper leaks. So in that sense, I think that purpose has been served through this. Now, were there all kinds of people at the protest? Most definitely. Were there even violent people at the protest? Yes, that happened as well. But I think the important thing is that there has to be some control on this. If I'm sitting on your channel today, Hina, and I say exactly the same things that this young lady said at the protest, how are you going to respond to that? What is your channel going to do?
I told
Who's
you
going to come
only
after
that,
me?
we initially thought we'll, take little part of what she has put out. We'll, mute the part which is objectionable. Even with that, it was unbearable. I could not listen to it. It was so bad. It was crass.
It's as simple as that. It's unacceptable. If I said it right here, you'd have multiple complaints against your channel. There would be FIRs against me from multiple people. That's just the way it is. Part of being Gen Z is also being an adult. This generation that was protesting, and part of being an adult is living up to your actions.
Absolutely.
There are consequences.
Okay. We'll leave it there, but of course, this is something that we're going to be tracking closely ahead as well, because now FIR has been registered. We'll see what happens next. She's deactivated her Instagram. So far, she's not really been questioned. So we'll see what happens next in this case. But for now, thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here on this debate.